last in touch with Ghislaine Maxwell?
I was in touch with her about 3.5 weeks ago. The last couple of weeks, it was pretty obvious, due to the pressure on Prince Andrew, that Ghislaine was the target. And, I don't want to wave a red flag in front of the FBI. I believe in supporting my friend, and I believe that she is a victim of Jeffrey Epstein, just like many other people were. It doesn't mean that what she did was right, and she should pay for her crimes. But the last
what do you think her crimes were?
I don't know. I'm going to wait for the court to say. But obviously, there was, reading the indictment, a pattern of some kind of grooming of women for Jeffrey.
So why would you think that Ghislaine Maxwell is in any way a victim, given the depth of the allegations, the consistent pattern of her acting as some kind of madame to Jeffrey Epstein, where she groomed very young, often underage girls to be sexually abused?
Okay, I understand. But I also know that she tried many, many, many times to get away from Jeffrey, and he kept keeping her there, luring her there.
Oh, now, come on. You don't believe that
yes,
for a moment.
I do believe that.
She tried many times to get away from it. She's just spent a year hiding in a house quite comfortably and easily when she wanted to. She could have got away with him at any stage. She had plenty of money, most of which probably came from Epstein.
Okay, I think you'll find in the end that she doesn't have as much money as has been reported even in that indictment.
Well, the police say they found bank accounts, numerous bank accounts, which have over $20 million sitting there.
Yes, but I think you're going to find most of that money's not hers.
Whose money is that?
Well, that's for the courts to say.
Well, why do you think it's not hers?
Because she's told me it's not hers.
OK. Do you believe everything Ghislaine tells you? Do you think she may have been pulling the wool over your eyes?
No, I don't believe. Listen, I have a degree from the Wharton School, and so I understand bank accounts and business. I don't know what they were doing, but she said that Jeffrey was in control of most of that money.
Laura Goldman, why do you describe Ghislaine as a victim of Jeffrey Epstein? Have you read the charges? I mean, she's charged with conspiracy to entice minors to travel to engage in illegal sex acts, enticing a minor to travel to engage in illegal sex acts, conspiracy to transport minors with intent to engage in criminal sexual activity, transporting a minor with intent to engage in criminal sexual activity, and 2 counts of perjury. What about that suggests that Ghislaine Maxwell is the victim?
Okay. She's a victim of Jeffrey Epstein, okay? He would not let her leave. She tried many, many times.
In what way would he not let her leave?
Okay, because there were things that he had on her that if she had left in an angry way would have destroyed her life earlier. Now, obviously her life is destroyed now, but Jeffrey Epstein, look, Leslie Wexner's afraid of him. Glenn Dubin is afraid of him. Jeffrey never let Eva Dubin go. Alan Dershowitz is semi-afraid of him, even though he claims, that he worships Jeffrey. Jeffrey is a very threatening guy. Graydon Carter was afraid of him. So to say that the only person who can't be afraid of him is Ghislaine Maxwell's just wrong.
Okay,
well, I met Ghislaine at a book launch in 2013, briefly, for a few minutes, with Stephen Fry and other people that were at this book launch. I don't think I've ever met a more confident person in my life, or a more sort of social gadfly, flotting around the party, knew everybody, super confident, strong. You could tell all those things. The idea that she was somehow the victim here, I've got to be honest with you, I find laughable. I mean, she was part of his world for decades. And the idea that you're trying to portray her as a victim, when actually the victims are these poor underage girls that were terrorised for decades by Jeffrey Epstein, I think many people will find quite repulsive.
Okay, and I understand that. And believe me, every one of them has hit me on Twitter. And I'm, first of all, the main victims are the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, the young girls, or even the older girls. Okay. There's no such thing as a child prostitute. Underage girls should not have been massaging people. I totally agree with that. But to say that that Jeffrey did not have a hold on Ghislaine is wrong. And I understand many people tell me how confident she appeared. She wasn't. Okay, she had very little self-confidence in reality. Jeffrey could reduce her to tears instantaneously.
Laura Goldman, Jeffrey died last year. Why didn't Ghislaine, if she was so afraid of him and in his thrall, the minute that he died, she was released from that. Why wouldn't she then go to the FBI and say, you know what, I was equally also under his power, I was a victim of Jeffrey Epstein, and I will tell you everything you need to know. Why did it take a year? And why did she go into hiding if she could have helped?
From what she's told me and what her defense of that is that she did what her lawyers told her to do. Okay. And I'm not a lawyer, so I can't, parse it for you. But they felt that going in, because of the circus atmosphere of the case and the feeding frenzy, it's sort of like the Salem witch trials 2.0. They felt that she couldn't go into the FBI and have a somewhat civil conversation.
Well, what she did instead was she spent millions of dollars in cash to buy a very large remote property, which she was then able to hide in considerable luxury and carry on leading her life. This is while justice was being fought for these poor young girls who'd been abused and, as the prosecution now says, groomed by Ghislaine Maxwell for many, many years. That doesn't seem quite the way you're painting it. Looks to me like somebody who's used to having a rich and privileged life, wanting to continue doing it and thwarting justice for these young girls who were abused.
So then why didn't she flee the country? I mean, you're on one hand, I think you're going to find that house isn't exactly hers either. I think you're going to find out a lot of things.
When you say it wasn't hers, I mean, Jeffrey Epstein couldn't have bought it. He was dead.
I know, but it's not hers.
Well, whose is it?
I can't say because I'm not implicating other people.
Do you believe everything Ghislaine Maxwell tells you, or do you think she's just pulling the wool over your eyes?
No, because I knew from the beginning what was going on, and I knew from her sister also what was going on, and I've talked to them about these issues since 2008.
Hang on a moment. You knew from the beginning what was going on?
After the 2008 plea agreement, I had frank conversations with both Isabel and Ghislaine Maxwell. So I had an idea of what was happening. And, and she explained a lot of things with Jeffrey. And, she wasn't strong enough to leave him too.
Yeah, but hang on, listen.
Why didn't you go
I'm all for supporting friends, right? But Ghislaine Maxwell knew that he was then a convicted paedophile. And she continued for many years after that to be very close friends with his, and you continued to be a very supportive friend of Ghislaine Maxwell, knowing that she remained very good friends with a convicted paedophile. You can see how, looking on the outside, people are like, what the hell was she doing, continuing to be friends? And there's a relevance to this involving Prince Andrew, which we'll come to. But Ghislaine Maxwell could say right to the point that he was convicted of being a paedophile, well, I wasn't really sure. You can't be after he's convicted. Then he's a convicted paedophile. Then you know what the guy is. And she carried on for another 10, 11, 12 years being his friend. And you've carried on supporting her, knowing she carried on being his close friend after he was convicted. Well,
during my very difficult times, the Maxwell family was good to me. And I felt that, I didn't see her every day or talk to her every day, but they were there for me at my darkest hour. And I felt that I should be there to a certain extent.
And you didn't think it might have been a good idea if Ghislaine Maxwell had not continued to be good, close friends with Jeffrey Epstein after he was convicted of very serious offences against underage girls?
Well, believe me, she limited her contact substantially. I know she didn't cut it off, and I'm not claiming that. I'm saying she did try to rebuild her life several times.
It's quite easy, actually, isn't it, to cut off contact with a convicted paedophile? You just have nothing to do with them.
She couldn't. Okay, she's not that strong. I know, I understand.
Okay. Well, that doesn't bear much relation to the woman I met at a book launch, I can tell you. The idea that she would have been too weak to walk away from a bloke convicted of paedophile behaviour. Let me bring in Prince Andrew now, because he also stayed friendly with Jeffrey Epstein after that conviction. And again, you could construct a defence, potentially, that Epstein was so secretive and manipulative, you may not have known the full scale of what he was doing. But once he's convicted, that's a different thing. Once all that detail came out and he admitted it, at that point, surely you sever links. Why did Prince Andrew continue seeing him? And how much do you think Prince Andrew knows that we don't know?
Okay, Prince Andrew doesn't know a lot, partially because he's not that intelligent and he is spoiled and entitled, so he didn't really ask questions about what's happening. But as far as people staying in touch with Jeffrey Epstein after the 2008 conviction, there were parties with people like Katie Couric, Chelsea Handler, Woody Allen. Okay, well, Woody Allen maybe, but unfortunately, in 2008, which was a lifetime ago in terms of Me Too, the women's movement, etc., many people flocked to Jeffrey Epstein's house after that 2008 conviction. So to attack everybody that did that, okay, but you have to attack them all, not just me. So,
well, I'm just wondering, I'm wondering, did you have any contact with Epstein?
No, I didn't, but because these are issues that I do care about. But also, it wasn't, his conviction was kind of muddied, and I wasn't actually sure what he had done.
Well, his plea admission wasn't muddied, was it?
Yes, it was. It was sex with an underage prostitute. There's no such thing as a child prostitute in retrospect, but it wasn't an organized sex trafficking ring. Okay, so that's a whole lot different than what he was convicted of.
So he wasn't quite as bad a paedophile as he could have been.
No. Okay. Okay, good point. But I'm just saying, I didn't have anything to do with them even before.
How long did you know where Ghislaine was hiding in the last year?
Off and on. But, I told people the FBI, you don't just call the FBI. They probably didn't want to talk to me.
Actually,
because
you can. That's exactly what.
In fact, at the prosecutor's press conference, that's exactly what they said.
It's exactly what you can do when the FBI says we'd like people to come forward with information. At that point, surely your duty as a public-minded citizen, which is the way you want to portray yourself, is at that point you would just pick the phone up and tell the FBI, I know where she is, and I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm not going to protect somebody given the scale of depravity that is emerging about Epstein.
Okay, and guess what? I did call the tip line, and somebody did call me back, but they didn't feel that they should have contact with me because of my contact with her, and I can prove it with emails. So you originally you just said you didn't make any contact. No,
now you say you did, but then once they found out you were good friends with Ghislaine Maxwell, they didn't pursue it. I mean, come on. What do you say?
You want me to show you what I said? I have them.
Do I look like a total idiot?
I can show them to you right now. I can show them to you.
Yeah, but you literally just said, you said 3 minutes ago you had no contact with the FBI. No. Now you're saying you did.
No. I said I didn't go into a long thing with them because I didn't have a lawyer.